This is the Chess Dojo training program, and today we are talking about people who are above 1,000 who graduated. So yesterday we did the players below 1,000. Today we're going to do the ones above. We finished with Budal yesterday. I'm not sure if I got that. Is that an umlaut thing? I don't know what it is, but it's maybe it's either Swedish or Norwegian. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so we have B-Burks, and I actually, different circumstance, I was looking at B-Burks, and I was like, is that a reference to Berkshire Hathaway? I don't know. In any case, let me move this one thing out of the way. I have my second screen, by the way, so I will be able to read things if they come up. Finally got it done. Hi, Abdul. So, all right. Let's get into it and read what B-Burks says. B-Burks says, I think the most useful part of the 1,000, 1,100 cohort for me was logical chess, move by move. You guys, I got to say, that book of all, everybody or a lot of people, when they graduate, will give a little feedback on the program. And that book, by far, is the one that's mentioned more than any. And then when we did our stats analysis for Dojo 3.0, that was the one that was that was the dojo requirement that was correlated to the highest gain, just in this cohort, but still. So let's read. It led me to thinking harder about what each move does, trying to gain an advantage in tempi over my opponents, and it got me trying new things. For example, in my final game in this cohort, I used the lessons that I learned from the section on queen's pawn openings to fight for control of e5 and c5 so I could aim for landing my knights there and clamp down on my opponent's position. Tactics flowed from solid development and having a plan, and it was a win that I was very proud of against a higher rated player. Perhaps that's a game that we'll look at today. All right, VVK, nice to see you too. All right, so now I click, and here's B-Burks, 45 years old, and we're going to go over here. Checkmate test, we want him to do, or her, to do some tactics tests, but otherwise the tactics rating looks pretty consonant with their actual rating. Okay, and B-Burks has graduated before. I am also following the YouTube thing, but I think more people watch this, so I'll have more of an eye on this bad boy. Okay, so next up we're going to go look at clubs. Indiana. We had some fellow player from Indiana yesterday. Activity, and we're going to go see this. And as you can see, they did epic amounts of work, 44 hours. Looking pretty good. Yeah. The time is probably not correlated because they got 3% endgame, but 45% here. Sometimes the endgame, if you know the algorithm, it can go kind of fast. I was doing that with my student Jamil yesterday, and some of his endgame algorithms had expired, and he was able to knock out that bishop and knight mate real quick. Okay. So that all looks great, and now we're going to do, actually I want to just look at the rating graph real quick. Look at that rating graph, my friends. Bam! Looking great. And I do want to cover this game that he mentioned. So maybe this was the one. It was definitely a higher rated opponent. Let's click on it. Okay, and now I got to change scenes, my friends. Bam! There it is. Okay, so listen. I'm a boomer GM, and I will mess it up because I have to switch scenes all the time. So let's just bear that in mind. Yell at me. Feel free to yell at me if I blow it. I will blow it. First, though, before we get in, let's look at the time graph. Bam. Ooh, wait. I gotta set the time graph correctly. Got to get in there. There's our time graph. And what do we see? We see both players not using their time. It's an affliction, especially of the under 1,000 crowd, but it continues. One thing I was just reflecting on this morning is I don't know any GMs who have the problem of moving too fast. You know, back in the 1800s, they were talking about some players moving really fast. I think Zukertort moved really fast. But in general, the GMs nowadays don't have this problem. They sometimes have the reverse problem of, in fact, I would say if they have any problem, it's they move too slow. But this is a problem that I think has a lot to do with anxiety and the lack of evolution or a development of a person's system two thinking. Like sometimes you can see like, oh, they're thinking, like here's some opening theory at the top. And then they started thinking, they were able to think, and then it was just like, dude, I'm done. I'm done, I can't, I just gotta move, right? And it's kind of like, you know, with exercise, you reach a point you're exhausted and you just start slowing down. In chess, what happens is you just start making impulsive moves. In any case, I think this is the one he's referring to, so that's super cool. Now, I am going to remember to switch the graph. And let's get into this beautiful game here. So far, beautiful. Okay. Usually they play a4 here. Okay, I think this is a fine line too. Good. Okay. Interesting position. And now one of the interesting things for white is how do they fix this poor knight? That's, let's call it white's central problem. Okay. Dang, look at that, buddy. Bam! Nice move, boss. Very nice move. So if you are, you know, this guy was in the 1,000, 1,100 cohort, UC 95, you are crushing it. Now, we have to say that bishop f7 looks a little bit more convincing, right? And he does mention bishop f7 here. Pop, pop, pop. And he says, this is the other line I looked at, but since the game plan all along was to try and get pieces to e5 and c5, the move I played seemed to be more in line with that. But here, the guy can't castle anymore. You're a clean pawn up, you know, much stronger than this one. And I think probably you missed bishop e6. And this was the only time in the history of this black game that he thought. All of the other moves from here on out, black is just moving instantly. Okay, so here we go. Pop, pop, pop. c5, reasonable move. Now remember, white's key problem here is to fix the knight on a2. b3, okay, pop, pop. g6, got to get done. Bishop b2, bishop g7. Now, I haven't seen it. I want him to play knight c1. Let's see if he does it. Hey, very nice. Very nice pro move. And not only that, but he's got a plan, and this apparently is related to logical chess move by move, at least for him. And I want to stress, I'm going to do a course on this at some point, but I feel like at this level, from like 1,000 to 1,800, there is a general issue of players not understanding the importance of time. After 1,800, it's often an issue of players not fixing their poor pieces. So a slightly different thing, right? And so this is very high level to go just say, boss, the guy's got to get fixed, and I'm going to go fix him. Great. Queen d5. Okay, it seems odd to me to encourage knight f4. Rook c1, and then he blunders bishop h6. So he got a little lucky there. Whenever you make a bad move, you should say what you think you should have done. For example, the move rook e1 looks good to me because I think we're then basically preventing knight d7 or knight c6. because we would snip and then get this pawn. And it's just the place where the rook wants to go anyway. All right, black misses it. Now rook c6 looks strong. Do they find it? Bam! Oh, that ain't it. But, you know, it is true that they're in a really bad place, right? So we would want to analyze this variation, and it looks like crispy critters to me. But, you know. So now it's a technical struggle for us. We want to eliminate him. I like knight takes e6 much better. It's just a beautiful knight there. No, I take it back. This is fine what he did. Good move. Good move. Queen c7 check, please. Bam! Game over. Well, I don't know if this is a blunder. What is he supposed to do? What is he supposed to do, right? So, do you recommend writing our opponent's time down in an OTB game? I always do. I always do it. Okay. So, that was really great. Really good analysis. Very, I think knight c1 you should be really proud of. That truly is an 1800 plus quality decision. I've seen so many strong players just get obsessed with their pretty pieces and not fix their bad pieces. So I'm really happy with that. The biggest thing I want you to take away, though, is this bad boy. Too fast. Just because your opponent's playing fast doesn't mean you got to, right? Okay. So let's go back. We're going to start here. Pop. And I get out of here. Pop. And next up we have Spider Zlatan. Everything in the cohort worked well together to help me better my chess. Polgar mates helped me with piece awareness and board awareness. 1001 helped tactics familiarity and broadening and calculation. Most instructional games, that's also by Chernoff, the same guy who wrote Logical Chess Move by Move. Really brought it all together for me. The program is amazing. I don't think I could improve, really, being that I'm an old fart, a fellow old fart here. I hope to do some OTB games soon if I can find a club or community around town. Okay, great. Let's see what's going on with Spider Zlatan. Albuquerque. Oh, nice, man. I'm from Santa Fe. I'm going back home beginning of August. You're not that old, bud. You're 37. You're a young pup. You're a young pup, buddy. Oh, I think Dosey Dose is in the chat and is Spider Zlatan. Okay, so he just made it, 1201. He's been doing the tests. Tactics rating looks phantasmal. So based on this, we should expect Spider to keep climbing pretty well. Those are some great numbers right there. Okay, next up we got clubs. And now, Spider, I got a request from you, Baus. I need you to form either an Albuquerque club or a New Mexico club or a Northern New Mexico club. You could do it that way too. Because I want to join that club, man. I want to join. Here's the activity. We'll go down one. So 109 hours, 108 points of work. And that looks pretty good. That looks like a pretty, if anything, this games and analysis section should be larger. All right, then we're going to get games, and then we're going to Dosey Do. If you want me to do a particular game, you could tell me. I'll tell you what, I'll switch over here while that is happening. And you can maybe write. Otherwise, I'm just going to do the first one. Let's hit it. Boom. So, I think Crazy Electron is what's going on with, is our guy. Warning, ugly game. That's okay. That's okay. One thing I will show quickly is that we are dealing with the Spider using more time than their opponent, but we could ask for more. And his opponent is simply not thinking at all, right? Okay, so let's get into it. So far, so good. Ooh, this is very fancy. So this is part, you're being a victim here of the Chess Dojo training program. And if I was advising white, what I would say is bows. If you're going to take the time to learn this kind of fancy thing, then you can take the time in your games. You know, you're not in a hurry, buddy. Okay, so here we go. Queen f6. This is all a hard life. Yeah, there's a variety of moves that black can play. This is known to be bad, and honestly, the first time that I saw knight d5, I personally was shocked because I was like, you're letting the lady in, and yes, the lady comes in, but black has 1, 2, 3 problems, and that's quite a bit of problems. So knight f6, I don't think that's going to help. It's honestly a bad road already from here, but let's see how it goes. Boom, 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 and we're toast. So bishop f8, ed5. Now, maybe bishop d5, mate, baby, mate. All right, here we come. Queen g2. Now we gotta say, this is pretty spicy looking. All right, we gotta say there's some spice going on here. Timeout. I gotta just think about this because this is part of the repertoire that I designed. Now, knight f6, we're definitely gonna take. Okay, they're taking here. We do not want to take with the bishop. Ooh, God, this is hot. I was about to say that a potential pro move could be knight h3, but then he responds queen f6, and he gets to say welcome to the dojo. Holy moly, this is hot. Okay, so God, this is really warm. Here. I really don't want him. Now, okay, time out. A sensible thing for white to do here, especially from a practical point of view, would be to play knight e2. Yeah. That is at least, let's call it, prudent, right? Because yes, this kind of stuff happens, but we're going to gain another tempo. We got bishop h6 coming. We got rook g8 coming. Toast. Okay, so this is a natural move that allows this, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh gosh, what is happening here? Snip here. Oh, it's getting a little frightening. Here, okay. Bishop g4 is a fancy move, and of course, queen h1. Well, what's going to happen then, buddy? What's going to happen? I don't know. It's hot. It's hot. I'm assuming this move. But it's really hot. Okay, so he goes for it. You go for it. And they get fancy with that. Bishop g4, maybe. Wow, this is a hot game. All right. So, wow. This is a very warm game here. So c3 happens. I think there's better moves, but let's just leave it that for a second. Boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden, black is the one who is better. Amazing. Now, I don't know if I like that because you're just encouraging that rook to come into the game, Bows. He does this. Check to the miserable game. Whew, this is getting hot. Rook b7, b4. We should be winning this. a5, queen e4. I'm just looking. All right. We should definitely investigate d5. Do I know what's happening? I don't. I do know that the guy has to take here. and then we take here. He may not do this. Whew, the heat is on, my friends. It looks really bad for black, however, for white. Do I know exactly what's happening? I don't, but that's something to analyze. I don't understand queen a4, really. Good move. Check the miserable king. Oh, is this spicy? That doesn't seem right. Check! He missed that one. Oh, now it's all over, baby blue. Okay, great game. And can I just say something obvious? You guys were making some of the most, I'm going to go back to this time graph. You guys were making some of the most complicated decisions I have ever seen in chess. I've seen a lot of crazy positions. And you guys, I spent longer thinking about it than you guys did. Okay, so let's go back and what important things do I have to do here? It was a rough one. But by the way, Dozito, you played some nice moves, boss. Like bishop g4, that was a pretty high class move. I think it was probably correct. Notice though that you did it in 46 seconds. You did it in 46 seconds, dog. What's going on? You guys, the little time thing is cut off, but I swear bishop g4 was played in 46 seconds. Okay, so let's go back. And next up we have Neil. Neil doesn't tell us much, but let's see what's going on. Based in the UK, we're going to follow Neil. It looks like they graduated and dipped a little bit. Hasn't done their tests. Clubs. Got some European UK stuff going on. Nice. And then we're going to back it up and see this 1100. Maybe no games. We got a lot of endgame work. Okay, let's see if there's games. We got 1, 2. So, Pop, I think I always forget to mark these as reviewed. Okay, so there's no time. And now I'm going to set this up correctamundo so we can see it better. Okay, so solid game for the first half, and then both sides started making blunders. Little weird. E5. E5's a little weird because we're giving up this diagonal and this square. Poor move. Put the bishop there. Already black could consider d5. Okay. Okay. Not sure I get it. Good move. Pop, pop. Okay. So due to black's kind of passive play, you have, well, a little bit of something, something. Playable position anyway. Thank you. That doesn't help. Notice, this is a very common mistake. I think I did this when I was a kid too. It's like, oh, I want to induce a weakness by white. No, this pawn's a glory child, controlling this knight, everything. And now the bishop's misplaced there, and you're giving white this square. Okay, so big moment for white. Let's see what they do. Don't like it. So let's read what you write. I'm going to end up unblocking his bishop and exchanging my strong knight for his weak bishop. And Stockfish wants him to play knight f5, and he says, but I just don't get why it's so good. Okay, now, first of all, let's understand why knight d5 is poor. This bishop is their worst piece, right? And by trading the knight, you encourage this bishop to come this way. Furthermore, by putting the pawn here, you kind of definitely limit the scope of your rook. So, yes, knight f5 is an interesting move. If you don't like it, though, This move is a simple and strong move to make as well. You keep knight f5 in reserve. You open this bad boy up. Maybe you put the bishop here, right? You're looking great. You're looking great. Okay, so pop, pop. See, there's that bishop. Okay. Another consequence is we lost of playing knight d5 is we lost a tempo with the queen. Feels like a loss of tempo for sure. So you need to think about fighting for the file. That's looking bad for us. Oh, excuse me. I don't understand that move. Rook c8 or something. Yeah. Now with this move, well, maybe that move has a right to exist. Maybe. It's a very frisky move. No annotations. I've been thinking about this longer than you have. I think f4 might be a good move, actually. The problem is with bishop f6, he has to deal with bishop f5. Or excuse me, pawn f5. So we go back here. It's actually up to black right now to come up with something more convincing. The easiest thing, I think, is h5 now, so that if queen g5, we always have this backup with bishop f6 as a tempo. That makes a lot of sense to me. Also, let's just ask, in this position, see if we play h5. Right, then they can play queen g3, and that's kind of annoying. They'll still have the f. Well, actually, this would have been better than what happened, because now we just go back, and f5 isn't a threat, because we just take it. Good. So f5 looks like desperation, blocking off our bishop. I like queen g3 a little bit more. Yeah, because that just lost the tempo. Now we're going to see 96, I presume. No. Well, now we're just losing a coconut. I mean, this is probably good too. Rook f4 is probably in the cards. But now Rook f4, you can still do it, Mouse. Take that pawn. That's a big fatty. That's a big fatty pawn. Oh my gosh, that doesn't make any sense. And again, if you don't like your move, tell us what you would do instead. Right? Tell us what you should do. It's a difficult position. But right, you're just hanging all your coconuts here. Rook b1 looks more to the point here. That's why rook f4 is less convincing than rook c4, because now, if I need to, I can play b5. Okay. Check to the miserable king. h6, good move. No knight g5. g4 doesn't make any sense. Right? Just rook takes g4. Thank you very much. Now you trade. I don't know why we did that. Look, in this position, he's kind of messing around a little bit. At the minimum, let's give him a nasty little check here and see how he feels about life. You know, let's give him a little check and see how they feel about life. That's maybe not so simple for a dimple anymore. Okay. So now is black winning? I would generally say yes. The simple way for black, though, would be to play b5. So that way this pawn is always weak. They're probably winning. The way it goes here, too. Good. At least we're going to try to make a pass pawn. Yeah. I don't understand that move. Now, remember what I was saying about the bad piece not getting fixed? That's what we're talking about right here. You got to fix that knight, buddy. That knight, it's got to come out. You got to come up with a plan. It ain't d6. Oh, it's getting hot now. I feel like we're just moving around and around. B6 now. Oh, so people are not thinking here. And we do not have the time graph for this game. But this looks like a lot of sense. And now black should be winning because we got this outside pass pawn and stuff. Why didn't we take the pawn on B7, buddy? We got to at least try. Okay. H4, good move. Knight D5. And we just move our bishop. Thank you very much. Toast. King E3 is really the square we want to go to. E2. White's knight doesn't figure it out. Now, can we just say something? In this position, and you're right, apparently I could have drawn this from here, but never in a month of Sundays. I don't know what that means, but, you know, whether it's knight F4 or knight H4, the issue here is white or black's the one who probably needs to be careful at this point. And then we should calculate this out. See, now black has to run back and make a draw. Okay, so blundericious. And now the knight's not getting back. Goodbye. I do not have the time graph for this one, but I strongly suspect that people were moving too fast here. Strongly. Okay, so that was Neil. Neil, we got more deeper annotations will lead to better play in your games. Okay, good. So let me switch scenes. I forget all the time, huh? And we'll go over here. And now we have old PPG. Graduating from a free profile. Haven't used it much yet, but looking forward to following a plan. Very nice. And this is old PPG. PD Poppers. Old guy trying to play chess. Nice, I like it. And they're up to 1331. They got a USCF of 1191 and a tactics rating, kind of around their actual rating. One thing I'm trying to get our guys to do, our tech guys, is to give me dots here so that I can see how many have been done. All right, let's take a look. Clubs. No clubs. Activity. A little bit. And this is what they did. Maybe they haven't logged everything, but they just started. They were free, and now they're paying us a little bit. Give us a little money. We got to pay those developers. And PPG, let's just say, it is great to put in some games. I can take a look. Okay. So that was PPG. We're hoping to see more of the old guy playing some chess. Yeah. So looking good. And we'll go back. Next up, we have NKM, who I remember from a previous graduation. NKM says, have officially gained 500 ELO since joining the dojo. Loving the aggressive E4 openings, thank you very much, as I now have something to play against the French, the Karo, and the Karo-kan. Polgar book and woodpecker method remain part of my core training program. Went to go play at a chess club for the first time and managed to beat a 1700. There we go. Okay, so this is NKM. Kickboxer and pianist. Well, that's a romantic combination. Yeah. 1310, looking great. We want to see some tactics rating in the checkmate test. And we got clubs down under. Oh, yeah. There's kickboxers and pianists down there. What's that movie? Oh, Shine. About the Australian pianist. Dude, that was a great movie. Back in the day. That was like 1990s or something. Okay. Activity. Maybe he hasn't logged anything here. We'll see. We got some games. We got one. Boom. And now we're going to switch scenes. Boom, ba, boom. Jake, you're Shine, right? That was a great movie. That was an amazing movie. So, first See, the time graph, I can tell you, isn't there. So I think a lot of times people, I don't understand. This is a kind of a tech problem. But usually if you just grab the PGN, like with your Lichess or Chess.com, and you hit that share button, bring it over to our site, it'll carry the times over. If you do it in some kind of weird way, it doesn't bring the times over. In any case, it's very helpful to bring the times over. So, right, he wasn't making his annotations public. Right. Okay, so here we go. Aggressive repertoire, baby. Good move. Now, here's something that's interesting. From the French player's perspective, let's just talk about it from the French player's perspective. They know that they are not allowed to take this pawn yet, because if they do, they will hang their queen. So, they say to themselves, well, I'd really rather not take the pawn right away, because if white takes, then I'm just developing my bishop, so I'm not worried about it, you know. So in the database, this move, I believe, is more commonly played than c takes d. However, this is a significant mistake because although it seems like black has gotten himself a bonus here, what's actually happened is this bishop's a little misplaced. For example, knight e7, pap, oh no, it's gone. So this is a very nice position for white. Maybe a standard line could go pop. I've had this actually myself. And white has a beautiful position. Black in general doesn't want to lose this beautiful dark square bishop. Okay, so very common mistake. And then we don't take advantage of it. And you take back, and this is against the principles of the opening. In this opening that I developed, we play rook e1. Now, normally the way this will go down, just so you understand what I'm saying here, is we'll go c takes, castles, now bishop d7, now rook e1. And this is the so-called easy system for white. I have a Chessable course on this. I also have a YouTube video from back in the day. Two or three videos back in the day. I played, oh man, it was an amazing, I played this in the U.S. Senior Closed just a couple weeks ago. That game went forever. Okay, so I'm going to flip back. We don't like this as much. Yeah. Now, this is a known, I don't know if I'm going to call it a mistake. Yeah, I'm going to call it a mistake. I don't know if it's a losing move, I guess I should say. And the known move is a6, which does break opening principles, but prevents this garbage. And notice that the knight here is a little bit unhappy. And there's a whole longer line. I'm not going to look at it here after a6, but this is a mistake. Good move. Excellent move. Queen b6, bishop e3, and now black blunders, bishop c5. And I'm actually doing a course now about really gleaned from this graduation show, because in this show what I've seen is the most common problem, kind of 1,000 plus, is people giving away time, like black is giving away time. And then the question becomes, what do I do with that time? And so I showcased this position here, kind of what should white do in knight b5. All you really have to understand is that white has an enduring initiative after this snip-snap. So queen b6, excellent, and now they need to play queen a5, mistake. And that's what happens when you don't develop your pieces. Bam! Yeah, now he's toast. Very nice. A little weird, but okay. Bring that rook in. There we go. Simple chess. Queen d6, how can you complain? Oh, nice move. Okay, so that was a great game. I enjoyed that one. And like I said, I found that in the database, and I used it for this course that I'm creating. We have a question. Is it allowed to take little notes of the time? Yes, it is. Nice, Jake. All right, so back to the front. And we now have Random Refugee. Random Refugee, I believe, graduated ages ago and has now made it again. The last game is the vest. Okay, so let's click. Boom! It's a victory for the pawn. It's a victory for the knight. It's a victory for the king. The lyrics for my chess song. Okay, there we go, Random Refugee. I've always been kind of haunted by the Tom Petty song. You know, you don't have to live like a refugee. And I'm always thinking, like, that's such a haunting line. And, like, what does it mean to live like a refugee? I feel like definitely parts of my life, maybe I've lived like a refugee. Okay, so tactics rating. We want to see him do some tactics test. We got some clubs. Netherlands, nice. Mitched it. Okay, great. I've been around for a long time, and I only today understood that Belgium was created, shoved off from the Netherlands, protected by England, with the pretext that it was a Catholic country, whereas the Netherlands, of course, was a Calvinist Protestant country. Okay, side note. Side note, activity. So let's look how they did it, 1300. Lots of endgame work. Let's click on that endgame. Beautiful, well done. Okay, great to be doing those algorithms. All right, let's see, we got a game. We got loads, and this is Van der Kroek. I'm gonna switch scenes. Excuse me. And no times are given, unfortunately. Ooh, I've already analyzed this one. How did this happen? Let's go back here for a second. That was submitted ages ago. Yeah, so Van der Kroek hasn't been doing any work recently. See, I remembered that he graduated ages ago, but this was done ages and ages ago. Well, that's kind of a bummer. Well, Random Refugee, we hope. Maybe you, by the way, maybe you didn't make your game published. Maybe you didn't annotate it. I think what happens, what's maybe happening for some is the default setting used to be that you put it into the Dojo database and it would automatically be public. And now I think you might, I'm gonna have to look into this. You might have to make it public yourself. Okay. So, next up, we have another person been on the show, but oh my gosh, we got a lot of people today. And that's SBM McManus. The new tactics training course from Chessable that was added in the last program change was very helpful. I still use it as a warm-up before playing, still looking for a better, more reliable way to find sparring on a regular basis. I wonder if we could have a structured tournament along the lines of the Dojo Classical, where people record the win-loss record from a sparring session as the result of the weekly match. Now, let me just say, we are definitely working on all kinds of tournaments and stuff. And we have a lot of ideas, and so that is definitely continually getting developed. But I would say, you know, we have so many priorities at the dojo, and that is, and we have some of them we have to be like Bowser, just let that lie for a second, you know. But this one, we're definitely working on doing. Okay, next up, let's look at McManus here. So, I got mine in the wrong scene, as you can see. Let me fix it. So, Canadian countryside outside Toronto. I played a tournament in Kitchener. Maybe that's what he's talking about. Dojo 1.0, always good to see. Has done a tactics test and to do well. Hopefully we can get some checkmate tests in there too. 1328, looks like maybe they graduated and fell off a cliff. But this was indeed, look at that, a very nice ride up to this point. Lots of hard work in that. Clubs, Toronto, great, 16 people. And then we're looking at the activity. That looks pretty good. We want to go take a look. 85 hours. That's kind of all the way it should look. That's kind of how it should look. Maybe a little bit more. And the time breakdown is correct anyway. Games analysis. What are they doing non-dojo? Some chess media. That means YouTube to me. All right, games. Submarine Mike. Let's see how this goes down. Marcus review. Boom. Time graph. Oh, we got a crazy time graph. I'm just going to share that for a second. Look at that thing. Look at that thing. So both of them used their time, and then at a certain point, they started kind of blitzing it out. So just bear that in mind as we witness this game. And again, a big problem at the dojo is people have a hard time thinking when it comes to the end game, both in their annotations and in their played games. All right, so first get off this one. I almost blew it real bad. And we're going to go over here. So, okay. Weird. Definitely a mistake. D6 made more sense. E3, maybe a bit too passive. So what should you have done? D4. Let's go, buddy. Let's go. Now, what's weird about this is they kind of could have made F6 look reasonable if they had played D5 here. And that's one of the reasons I think D4 first is so much stronger. Okay, so black is not is not thinking about their development. Okay, now Queen C2, you talk about DE5. DE5, I don't know, maybe, but this is the critical move. You're absolutely right that if they take this way, they get hosed with Queen H5. But FE5 in life is not so entirely simple. Another move that looks very, let's call it prosperous to me, is Bishop D3. Simple move, we develop, we're threatening, bam, bam. Chess is an easy game. So Queen C2. Now you can still play Bishop D3. Very nice. Yeah, you're doing great. And the guy plays this. That's nasty, right? You took. Now normally I'm against taking like this. And I gotta say, it's a very controversial thing that you've done. And one thing to note here is, did you calculate F5? Did you calculate F5? Yeah, would be good for us to know. So F5, knight G5, and you say that's a box. It probably is a box. And dude plays knight G8, horrendous move. Okay. So, you say it's bad, but you should calculate G6. Are you winning? Are you losing? What's going on here? I don't know. Yeah, so we want more analysis here about what's happening. The problem that we should also say to ourselves is, even if dude doesn't win our bishop, we're still in such a nasty little predicament over there that we'd rather not, we just don't want to be in that predicament, right? So it's looking like Bishop H7 is definitely, at the minimum, a practical mistake. Blunder, we get Bishop G6. Knight F7, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we're winning completely. And here the game shouldn't last that much longer. Okay, so snip, snap. H4, maybe, but we could just castle too. He's not doing nothing. Now black just helped us come in. Okay, good, I like it. A3, and you talk about knight B5. That's a little frisky. I don't really understand that move. Now look, you're up a whole rook, dude. So at this point, we should be trying to make our life easier rather than harder. All right? Okay. C5. Okay. You say, I want to trade. Notice, though, that bishop isn't going anywhere. So your instinct to trade is not unreasonable. But why? He's not going. Yeah, that thing is just sitting there. So you release the tension for him. I don't understand. Good. Now I'm confused. Okay. Wow. Okay, so what's happening here is we're making things hard. They shouldn't be so hard. Okay. Oh my God, I don't understand that move. Good, I like that one. 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 Ah, now we're happy. There we go. That's the technique we want to see. That was fancy. Okay, we're going to stop here. So the conversion indeed was a little bit, but you guys were a little bit getting in time pressure. We understand now why the time graph did what it did at the end, because really black could have resigned here. Submarine Mike says this game is so old. Let's take a look, actually. So if I go back, well, no, it was published on just a couple days ago. So that was from June, and he just published it a couple days ago. SB McManus is in the chat. Good. Sounds a good game. Hopefully I said some things that were constructive. Sometimes I just say things that are mean and people get mad at me. Let's change the scene, Kraai, before you forget. Next up we have, I don't know, Bombadil. I was new to classical length games, so learning to slow down and use my time was the most impactful thing for me. Closely followed by analyzing my games. I'm still making silly mistakes late in games and need to work on my patience and stamina more. Like I said, it's a muscle, this system 2 thinking, that needs to be developed. Okay, so we're going to follow Bombadil. And first we're going to take a look. Tactics rating. Oh, looking good. We've got an amazing tactics rating over here. Okay, and we got some clubs. North Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex players. Nice. Okay, activity. And we're going to go down one. And Bombadil's been doing a lot of work over here. A lot of work, so that's looking good. So now Abdul says it was over after knight h8, and at a certain level, of course it is, but at that level we were just looking at, no, black had practical chances, right? So it definitely wasn't over. GM level, sure, you resign, but so, well, it's not the point. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. And clubs, we already did. Games. Oh, we got a bunch. This is Bombadil over here. Let's click this one. And I will mark it as reviewed. We'll send check. The time use thing, again, is not available here. So I'm going to switch the scene. I'm getting pretty good at switching the scene, don't you think? And Bombadil says, I don't know what to do with this opening, but I was very pleased with the game. I had some small misses, but it feels like my strongest game since I started ChessDojo, and classical lengths is my 5th or 6th. Nice. Okay, let's get into it. You're doing fine. You're just following principles. You don't need to be a genius here. Okay? Fine. Fine. In general, I want you to castle first. Okay. 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 C5. Now, I disagree. I feel like this position's about equal, but I'm happy that you put in your evaluation. And C5 is like a really spicy move because it says that white is going to be able to generate something over here while you eventually will get something going on the king side. I don't know. More circumspect for white, of course, is just to castle. All right. Knight d2, moving a developed piece twice. Okay. Bishop f3, moving a developed piece twice. What do we want to see? We want to see castles. Bishop g6. Okay. Now you say bishop f3, queen f3 is a clear advantage for white. I disagree. One aspect about the position is just to note that we're better developed and their bishop is poor. And then we have a tactical kind of question that needs to be asked, which is, how do we feel about this variation? b6, b4, a5, a3, ab, pawn, rook, bishop, queen, castles, queen a4. How do we feel about this position? Personally, it looks promising to black for me. So, for example, rook b1, rook over, and we have the jump on the queen side. Okay, so bishop g6, c6, okay. Now, one of the other reasons I like that variation is this position I find a little bit hard to find a plan, especially if they play b4 as they should right now. Let's see what they do. Good move. And now b6. Now, here's the thing. Are we going to crack them or are we not? If we don't crack them, I'm not sure we want to be messing with them, you know? Yeah. Rook e1 looks dubious to me. Especially because you do have a simple plan after rook e1. Anyways, lots of different moves here for white. I'll show you what the plan is, though. You play bishop f6. You could take, and now on takes, I would be concerned a little bit by the fact that, well, black can do a variety of things here. You know, simplest is like a5 and queen b8, and you're threatening bishop c5. And if you take the other way, which is maybe forced or something, then we have a jump over here. And again, this guy's just a victim. So rook e1, not to the point. Bishop f6. Snip, that's a bad move. Something like rook c1, I agree. Okay. Now, wait, what happened here? Wait, why did we take with a pawn, buddy? It's time to take with a pawn. Yeah. We got this juicer going on. We got queen d6, followed by e5. Well, life is pretty good. After queen takes, though, it's a little bit of, I don't know, he's tagging our c6 pawn. That's no good. Bishop b7 is a good move. Queen a4. You snip it. Well, we got to ask a question, though, about this bishop takes b4. Now, you took, or he took, but what is happening on rook a b1? We got to talk about that. Right? What's happening? Now, maybe there's some magical way out of this, but I'm worried. You know, white's up. You know, he's about to play a3, Mose. He's about to play a3. Okay, so I don't see an easy path here for black. Good. Now notice we got this nice configuration here where the bishop is tagging the square. Queen a5. I don't know. a4 looks the most testing to me. Good. And now we can play rook a2. Thank you very much. So now we're up a pawn. Now, okay, so we're up a pawn. Be nice to know what the times were here just to see if people are thinking or not. H5 seems out of line. Just play h6. Bishop d1. Now you have rook a8. Okay, good move. So if queen c6, he's talking about rook a1. Rook a2, for that matter, also looks like a real problem. But that ain't it. Bam, 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 game over. Nice. I have lost many endgames with bigger advantage than this, so I was trying to be careful. Very good. Abdul would yell at you, be like, this game was already over. No, man, it's not over. Good. Good that you kept going. Very nice. Oh, very nice. Oh, I like that move. That's real sweet. That's called, well, it's not mate yet, but it's crispy critters. Okay, so that was a very nice technical finish. Okay, well done. So that was Bombadil. Bombadil's doing great. Let's go back. Now, next up, we got Jules. I got to fix my little outline, whatever we're going to call it, layout. And Jules says, moving from Lichess to FIDE, as I can't find as much time to play long-rated games on Lichess. By the way, as you go up the ladder, you'll find people are using over-the-board ratings. I do, however, get to play FIDE-rated games often at my local club, so I'd rather peg my progress to that. I'm aware the FIDE boost might have put me above where I should be. Loving the program, studying daily. Nice. Okay, so here's Jules. Jules, tell us something about yourself, Baus, because that picture, I don't know what to do with that, buddy. That's either a Christmas picture or like a horror movie picture. A lot of times, Christmas and horror movies kind of go together, though, don't they? So here you can see this was the FIDE boost they got earlier this year. And we got a tactics. Haven't done any of the tactics tests. We want to see some of that. Clubs. Oh, down under. Nice. Okay. And activity. We're going to go back one. And they did 246 hours of work. And that is, that's the real deal. That is the real deal right there. Okay, I like the macro distribution a lot. All right, we'll look at some games. And this is Jules against Ray. First, we're going to click this. We'll mark it as reviewed. And we have a very typical time graph, which I'm going to share. Look at that bad boy. Our protagonist is in white there, so you can see that they spent their time and the opponent did not. Again, maybe the opponent's a genius, might be Einstein, but we have a competitive chance against them if they are not capable of thinking. So here we go. Oh, I won't say nothing. I won't say nothing. Okay. Good. C5 doesn't look right. Biggest problem is not developing. Castles. Knight e4. That wasn't it. I check, and now I win the knight. Very good. Checked the miserable king. Knight f2. Very nice. That wasn't it. Snip. Very nice. e6. Maybe this seemed a little highfalutin to me, though. you're up a piece, no reason to be fancy, just play like d3 or something. Yeah, you're rallying the wagons, boss. You're rallying the way. You're up a piece. You're in control. There's no need to go crazy. Yeah, suddenly we are the ones a little bit on the back foot. Boom, nice move. That's not. So one of the things that's really important about this is you needed to say at some point, hey, I was completely winning, and then here, things went wrong. Oh, sorry. Got it, buddy. Got it. See, this is what I told you guys would happen. There it is. Sorry about that. We all knew it was going to happen. We all knew it was going to happen. All right, let me show you guys the game. So sorry about that. He won a piece. His opponent hung a piece. And here he's completely winning. There's a variety of moves to do. D3 followed by bishop f4 is the most obvious. E6, weird. Knight h3, weird. Bishop e2, little strange. And then all of a sudden here, it's like, oh no. Black is giving us the business, and g3 just doesn't help because he gives us the whack, right? So queen d2. And so he's trying, it's a little bit clever, he's trying to indirectly defend this pawn by bishop f3 here. But we're really tying our pieces up in knots here, right? A prudent move at this point might be king h1. Because, let's say they take. Is it what we dreamed of? No, it's not. But here, we can at least start assuming the initiative in the position. Okay, so queen d2, rook f6. Definitely we need more analysis here, but rook f6 is at least on target in terms of the theme for black. King h1. So you end up doing this anyway. And black is just like, I don't care. Now, whoa, this is getting warm. Woo! It's getting hot. Okay. Now you play queen g5. Yeah, it's hot. When we tie ourselves up in knots like this, we get this kind of drama where we can't protect our back rank. So, queen g5. Maybe your best move. Oh, this is really warm. Okay, so pop, 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 pop. Ooh, king g2. Dang. Well, so maybe king g2 is a full genius move. Wow, that's maybe it is. So one of the things here is when we analyze our games, we can really develop, great tactical ability. Queen g5 might really be, maybe it is a full stunner of a move. In a lot of ways, it's just a simple double attack. So bishop f3. Now, we should consider rook f3. Because rook f3 will break the pin. So what could black have done here? Could have just retreated. And then how do you fix this thing? Well, actually, let's not retreat. Let's just take this bad boy. Oh, buddy. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Okay. In any case, this was genius. And now you're winning. Again. Good move. Okay, I can live with that. Good, finally got that beast out. Black is clearly not thinking. Did I mention their time graph? Did I mention? Wait, can we just ponder this for a second? Look at this time graph. It was one of the most complicated positions I've ever seen in this dude. He's not thinking at all. He's not thinking at all, dude. Thank you, Eliza Mel. Yeah, it was a tough tournament. Okay, so black's not thinking. We bring all our pieces in. We're up a piece. We say thank you very much. Okay, so bishop d2, fine. Let's just mention that this is a move we should definitely ponder. Point being, if rook, check, here, bap, bap, rook h1. And so the main point of this is this prevents the knight f6, which happens in the game. Because now it's a little harder to knock him apart, and we have to worry about rook g4 and such. So notice how passive you are here. This happened the first time you were up a piece. e4, I don't know. It doesn't look convincing to me. Queen f4. You could have taken it too. And now he just resigned? He's like, after all that, he's like, I'm done. I'm done. Oh. Bishop d8 also looked good. Nordovich, you're absolutely right. Okay. You guys, let's just say that one of the graduation shows teach us many things, but there are usually lessons that are repeated, and one of them is just like these people were playing online. Maybe some of them are genius, but look at this. We see it so often in these online games. They're not thinking at all. And then then it's like, I'm done a piece. I think I'm done for the day. You know, I think I'm done. I don't need any of this, you know. Oh, I got myself delicious iced coffee here. All right, back to the front. Next up, we got Connor Phillips. And let's see what's going on with Connor here. Connor's made it to 1602, could technically graduate again. We want Connor, tactics test, a good one to do some checkmate tests. Clubs, nope, activity. And looks like we might not have any games here. We might not have any games. Let's see. No games. Connor, give us some games, bows. Next up, we have Soccer Alexander. Soccer says, I love the dojo and its help with endgames. I've gone quite up, a lot up, 250 points. Thank you. Great. Happy to hear it. Thank you, Soccer Alexander. Soccer has graduated a number of times. Looks like they hit a high point and then kind of bouncing around after they hit the graduation button. Okay. Late for an important mate. That's pretty fun. Beautiful tactics test rating. We want to have some checkmate tests in there. Clubs. Austin. Oh, man. The Austin, let's go look at Austin just for a second. Because we got Nose, Cheddar, Soccer Alexander, Jack. He's our developer dude. And look at it. It's like a who's who of the dojo. Not that many people, but some big names in the dojo over here. Alex B. Dang. Yeah. Okay. And Jack, he's getting close. He's getting close to graduating, man. But he's got to get rid of his ChessCom Rapid. As does, well, Nose Knows All is actually like, his ChessCom Rapid is out to lunch, but he's, this is because he's still working on his OTB. Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. So, go back, Mr. Kraai, and we're going to hit the games. Mark this as reviewed. There's no clock, and I'm going to switch scenes, I promise. Okay, so Not, we're going to call this light on the annotation, soccer. Okay, so h3, usually people play knight f3 first and then h3. But then h5 is truly weird. His plan is to trade dark square bishops, as my coach told me, and if Kostya analyzes my games, he might know him and have a game against him quite similar. So to me, h5 looks like a reactive move, thinking that the only point of h3 is to play g4. However, h3 is not just about playing g4. It is about controlling this square, which can be key in a variety of situations. Also, the only time that we really want to play bishop h6 is after the center has been closed. So his bishop is not yet poor. It's only after the typical e5, d5 stuff that it becomes poor. So this is a horrendous move. Bishop e3. I like knight f3 better, but okay. Fine. Fine. Notice that if we had played knight f3, the e5 break is already crispy critters. You know, we're done. You know, you play hero. Whack! Welcome to the dojo, kid. You know, what are you going to do? Take this thing? Bam! Oh, no! Shouldn't have played h5, bro. You know, goodbye. So bishop e3, knight d7. So what's going on here, soccer, is he played weird, okay? And then you were like, I need or want to get back to my familiar setup. But notice here, h5 is horrendous, but it might make a little bit of sense when you play d5, right? So if, you know, sensible would just be bishop e2 then. So what am I saying? Sometimes when we learn openings, it's unhelpful, right? It's unhelpful. You mentioned d takes e5, also plausible, right? We could do it this way too. h5 makes zero sense, h3 does, right? For example, we stop knight g4, one of the many benefits of h3. Okay, so d5, again, you see GMs doing this sometimes too, but the key thing is to think about the position in terms of principles when they do something weird, not simply revert to known structures. And now, well, let's just say bishop h6 is not entirely dumb. Okay, something we should say about this bishop h6 thing, though. It looks like it's genius level, but it's a little funky because now, imagine your dream is to play f5. When that happens now, then that dark square bishop is not there to kind of hold the troops together, hold the kingside together, if white decides to open. Also now, in general, f4 is a bad idea with the bishop here, but maybe someday we can now do it. And of course, black has a problem fixing the rook. We can call this a problem of time. Now, you mentioned b4. I like it a lot. Yeah, I like that move a lot. Just controlling the black knight. I think the position's still interesting. And my question here would be, can black play for h4 followed by knight h5, and then the knight could be of use later this way, right? Knight h5 and knight f4. Okay, so queen a4, king f8, simple and strong. b4, a5. Now, what's weird about this a5 move is he is saying that he's eventually going to be able to protect the rook. Is it true? I think it is in some cases, and bishop d3 is not it. Now, soccer, key thing about your chess progress, you gotta spend more time annotating, okay? It'll help you think about the game. The grief with bishop d3 that I see is what happens if he protects the rook, and then, I don't know, let's say you go here, splits your structure, and then returns or something. Hasn't he done himself a big service? I would say yes. I would say yes. So what this means is that on a5, you should strongly consider a3. And knight b6, we can at least say to ourselves, oh, the knight is misplaced there. That's true. And we just go back. Right? We're fine. We're doing great. We're holding it together. So this is an example, by the way, when we're playing for space, the computer will make it seem easy, but it's actually really hard, because here you're allowing black to gain important squares after knight b6. There he does it. Good. So he did it one move too late. You had a chance to fix it with a3. g5. Holy moly, this guy's amazing. Now, by the way, I think for my money, I would have preferred to bring this knight back rather than knight fd7. And then if I'm going to attack with g5, I want to have my knights over on that side of the board. Still, this is frightening. Okay, so here we go. Knight c5. This is definitely so complicated, we needed to spend more time analyzing this. Knight c5, reasonable move. Queen d2, okay. Dude now plays rook g6. Okay. Queen e2. And black barrels ahead with g4. At this point, we should say something obvious, namely, black is doing great, right? Black is doing fantastic. g4, knight h2, snip, and I guess we're lost here. He plays h4, you play king h1. And black, to my mind, is maybe going a little too fast. Probably is winning, but opening up the F file was at least frisky. c6, queen h5. That's the kind of thinking I want. Good move. So black got a little frisky, and you went for it with queen h5. I like it a lot. Queen g5, snip, snap, and all of a sudden, you have flipped the script. You say, but my king is so bad that black has the winning chances. Let's just say no one has any clue what's going on here. Imagine you're black. You had complete control over the game, and you lost that control of the game, right? No bueno. In soccer, we should really spend some time in our analysis thinking about what black did wrong, because he didn't want to allow this. King e7. Okay. Now, big moment for the guy. For you. Okay, boom. 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 It would really help if we knew what the clock situation was here. G2. Okay. So bishop b3 is not fun because knight e4 threatens mate. And that's what kind of happens in the game. Now, what should we do? Well, first of all, we need to analyze this thing. It's complicated. It's complicated, man. I don't know what's happening. Here's a line. Rook f7. Now, we'll look at king e8 and king d6 in a moment, but king e8, king d8 in a moment, but I think the critical fear would be this move. This is hot. Now, my first thought was maybe we could play knight d3, but then no, knight e4 happens. Okay, let's just ponder this for a second. Knight f3, rook c2. That doesn't look good, does it? We don't have really any magic. Wait a second. Oh, man. Well, if we play rook g1 now, the guy's got to go rook g2, I think, because rook g6 is a hell of a drug. Oh, so you can see, this is something to think about. This isn't so easy. Oh, wait a second. Here's an idea. Play knight d3 now. Exclam. Very simple point. If knight e4, which is real, if he takes, then we're fine. Remember, this knight's a chump. But if he goes here, we got this one on him. Bam! Got him. Whereas in the game, we're just hosed. We're just hosed. Honestly, too, I think I could, yeah. He's just taking all our coconuts. So, soccer. Very interesting game. And, you know, this is a clear misunderstanding. And I want you to just see the thing about the opening. Very important, right? At this point, you should forget everything you know about King's Indian. Instead, you kind of force it into a King's Indian. And then, I think it's very critical how you, very important, when we make this move to dominate, that we hold it. We got to hold that thing, right? And then we just have a really interesting position where that's where your growth can really happen, because you can analyze this game and say interesting things about it. Okay, great. Let's go back. We're going to change the scenes. Kraai always forgets. And then we got Alive. Alive doesn't say anything so far about themselves. We're going to look. We got tactics test. Didn't do well. Didn't do well in that tactics test. A lot of times strong players get in there and they're thinking it's going to be easy. They get a couple wrong. They get discouraged. And then they get a rating of 777. Okay. We got some clubs. Nothing. Activity. Just a little bit. Games. Nothing. My experience of stronger players is it's harder for them to begin the process of studying their games, because their identity is more wrapped up into it. It's harder to be critical to themselves, harder to accept criticism from others. Okay, that was Alive. Next up, we have Thanks, not Spanx, but Thanks. And Thanks ist aus Deutschland. We're going to give him a follow. 1849. I don't know if that's the German rating system symbol. I guess it has to be. So that's cool. I wonder if I haven't thought about it, but I probably have a German rating from way back in the day. I don't know. That was before they had an online database. We want them to do some tactics tests and all. Clubs. We got the German Dojo. Activity. Looking good. We're going to back it up one. Oh, he just jumped from 16 to 18. How did that happen? Well, that's not really telling us. Games, we got one at least. We got two. These look like OTBs. So let's give this a look. Mark reviewed. Clock isn't shown. Let me just say, so this is for the stronger players are generally using OTB. When you go to analyze your game and you put it into the ChessDojo training program, you can manually enter the times. It's very, it's easy. It's, one of the great features of the dojo that we can do that. He says, unfortunately, I don't have the timestamps on this game, but at some positions, I remember that I burnt a lot of time, mostly because I wanted to keep my advantage. Okay, so here we go. Good move. Good move. Boom. Now, C4 isn't poor, but my sensibility of this particular setup is that avoiding C4 makes a lot of sense, because you can create a setup where with either knight e2 or knight f3, depending on how it goes for black, you can aim for this kind of thing and maybe even like a queen f3 castles kind of thing. And c4 makes it harder for you to do that. Okay. b6 is a little weird. I have sympathy for bishop f3 because knight c6 is a poor looking move. d5. Okay. Now again, if you don't like it, tell us what you think you should have played. Knight e2. Or h4. h4 also looks very promising. I think white is doing great in this position. Now, I suspect you were thinking, right, that you were going to push d6 after, and then you said to yourself, oh no, that doesn't work out too well. And one of the things I think is tricky about this position is it feels like d5 should be the move. But in fact, this knight, oh man, it's pinned so nastily. It's so nastily pinned, and either h4 or knight e2 looks so strong. Whereas this kind of fixes him. And I'm assuming, you know, well, you should talk to us. What we got to talk about it. Maybe it is strong. Okay, let's read what he says. I thought that when I again pushed my pawn forward, there would be a discovery against the rook and an attack on the c7 pawn. Turns out that c6 defends both. Okay, but time out. Aren't you whaling this guy with snip, snop, and holy moly, cacholi, Mr. Dombaroli? Right? Isn't that game? Thank you, Pooh Bear. So hold on. Now, I criticized d5 just because I trusted you. And it's true. Your position is great without d5, but I think you were right. And I think... Well, this is crushing. And I guess you missed this bad boy here. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. a3. d6, now it happens. And now you played knight e2. But you could still win the exchange. So I think this happened and you hadn't seen it coming. And then you were like, oh, I'm guilty of crimes. And then you didn't stop to see you're still crushing him. Now, even so, knight e2, you're still doing great. I don't like h6. What is he doing? We want to put this bishop here. That's where he wants to go. h6. We don't want to put him on g5. h3. Okay. Now, by the way, this is the zero move thing over here, the z0. One move later, I played bishop d6 anyway, so why h3? Totally agree. I think what you should also say is that you underestimated bishop d6 at several points in this game. I don't like this h6 g5 thing at all. Why? Because black has to understand. Like, hey, buddy, I got to fix my cruddy pieces. And what is he doing? He's like, oh, I know in this Leningrad thing, sometimes I push and expand on the king side. Yes, but you need your pieces, bro. You need your pieces, man. Okay. All right, knight g3 looks reasonable anyway. g4, that's not the way chess is played. He is opening the position on his weak side of the board. And now knight h5, brilliant. Thank you very much. This is, by the way, what he gets for not developing their pieces. You know, this is what he gets. In fact, I'm building a course of time called Time to Do What. Maybe I'll steal this one. So we're going to go steal, copy PGN, and I'll put it into my little file here. Oh, I finally got two screens here because this is a nice tactic. When I'm doing this course, the idea is that sometimes it's a tactical shot, sometimes it's a plan, but the big point is just that they give you time. They're not going to give you pieces so much, but they're going to give you time, and then you got to ask yourself, what do I do with that time? Knight h5 is a nice shot, pretty much ending the game. Not only are you going to win all those pawns, but you're going to bust them open, and they are not going to have any development happening after you win their coconuts. Very nice. That's got to be strong. Knight a4? No, knight a4, he's got queen a4, doesn't he? But okay. There you go, simple chess. This guy's walking into all these pins. Oh! Pinned 1,000 times. Oh! Oh! B4's just B4's just rude. What do you do with B4, man? Just go give him a check. Invade him. Oh, wait, now I am, let me just say, I am by nature also a lame-o. And so I appreciate that White's being a lame-o here. He's not going to mate him or anything. We're just going to keep it nice and smooth. A little bit slow here on the what happened here? Oh my God. Okay. So White got complacent, thinking they just trade everything off and it's easy. It still is winning, but now we have some work to do. Rook b3, I think, is a little bit more testing. Now we should play g4. Your move's fine. King f3, I don't understand. Why are we going backwards? Here, as just a basic principle, we should say to ourselves, the connected pass pawns are winners. They are winners. And so, the king belongs on that square, so I don't know what we're doing. We're fooling around a little bit. Here, f5 looks very strong. I don't know about that one. This allows king f5. We're fooling around a little bit. Fooling around. What are we doing? Oh, no. That was a blunder. So he just panicked and lost. Okay. Thanks. Thanks. The technique needs a little work. And, right. I think you have some interesting calculation things to do, because not only were you hallucinating, you missed c6, but you didn't stop to say, I'm winning this thing. And yeah, this d6 square, it's a win. It's a win positionally, but then of course here it's a win tactically too. Okay, so that was thanks. Well done. Next up we have Sunbeam Smiles. Let's see what's going on with Sunbeam. Okay. I have a feeling I didn't change scenes properly on that one, so I'm sorry about that. This is 1885, cruising up. I think that is the Dutch one. Really cool that we got the icons in here. And checkmate test, that was a fail. That was a fail. Okay. Clubs, no clubs. Activity, not a lot. Do we have games? We got one game. One game. But this one, maybe I've even looked at before. It's because it's ancient. Oh, yeah, no, I remember. I did this one ages ago. Ages ago. Because I translated out of the Dutch. Okay, now, as I said before, it is harder psychologically for stronger players to analyze their games. Okay, just leave it at that. Very important psychological insight. It was hard for me. I was an IM before. I knew I'd do it here. I am Jamil. Is my student, Baus. My student. And does he even put any games here? No, he doesn't. That guy's a bum. He's a total bum. All right, you guys. I'm going to end it there. It's great. I'm going to be back next week. I'm hopefully do a little bit more Twitch interactivity stuff. I'm going to raid somebody now. There's loads of people to raid. Who do we got?